So let's get started for today. So today I'm going to take a look at head perspectives using Portrait Studio to help me out, because a lot of you guys are dealing with issues with perspective. So like take a look at this piece as well as this piece. There are two very different angles, but something feels very awkward about the two of them, right? So you've noticed that both feel kind of weird. But here and here. But before I get started, I am going to just quickly run you through some of the basics of my community. So if you want your work critiqued, you want your work on my Photoshop, you want me to paint over it, you want to be a part of the community, first of all, it's free. It's 100% free. And you can join by going to istebrak.com and clicking on the Reddit icon here. I also added my Twitch icon to my website. Make sure you go to Twitch and follow me there. I'd like to make affiliate as soon as possible. I'm not sure why, but they tell me I should be affiliate ASAP, so I'm just going to do it. I'm just going to follow orders. So go to istebrak.com and follow me on Twitch. But yes, go to the Reddit icon. It'll take you to my Reddit community here, and that's where you can submit work to critique. Everybody submits their stuff. Everybody gets critiqued, and that's why I grabbed these pieces. Everything is free. If you'd like to support the community, you can through Patreon. I'll be uploading a full showcase of all the homework done this year from my apprentices. I'm just freaking giddy about this video, because you guys get to see all this amazing stuff they've made, and you get a look into what it's like, a sample of the curriculum I put you guys through for the year. And it's just a lot of fun, and it is the $20 tier, $20 a month. You get to be a part of the apprenticeship. But look out for that video. It'll be uploaded sometime before Christmas. It's just like an end of year showcase to show all the work and everyone's improvement and all of that. And that's it for announcements. I think Portrait Studio is still on sale. You'll see it. You'll see its power today, its performance. And that's it. Let's get started with class. So this piece, I'm actually going to get started with this piece first, because perspective and front view isn't something you hear a lot. So right now, what we're looking at is almost like an orthographic. I'm not even sure if I'm using that term right. Is that right? In 3D modeling, sometimes there's a view on Maya that lets you flatten everything, and you get this like AutoCAD version of all the numerics that are behind the model, and it just looks freaking hilarious. It looks unwrapped. It looks weird. So right now, what's happening is that you've aligned the head with the camera in such a way she is the perfect height so that all of her features align 100% straight all the way through. So look at those. Inner and outer corners are almost fully aligned. Everything is just fully symmetrical. Everything looks weird. Nostrils and the septum. This is a big area. Take a look at it. This is going to come back later. And the lip corners are fine. And then the edge of the jaw, all of that. We don't seem to be, we're seeing everything in such a way that the head has exactly zero perspective. I'm drawing with my mouse, I'm sorry. So what does that mean? That means that we've tilted the head. Let me change the light so there's no cast shadows. We've tilted the head, this is Portrait Studio, so that the septum is aligned with both nostrils, just like that. This is problematic because essentially what it means is that we've tilted the head, that there's no natural standing perspective where the head is just in a position where we're slightly lower than the camera. We're not super tall, not too short, and the head itself just feels a little bit kind of what's the word? I don't know what I'm looking for. Like an organic kind of lazy joint. Not everybody stands perfectly straight type of thing. It feels more organic, really, is the word I'm looking for. But the word organic is abstract in a way, so that's why I'm trying to not use it here. But there's just a natural level of tilt that comes with the head, maybe making things look a little bit more realistic by tilting the joint to the side, by tilting the head forward, so that we get a bit more perspective. So it doesn't feel natural. So what I'm going to do is just load the figure instead, the female figure. All right. Oopsie. Oops. All right, so I'm going to tilt the head in such a way where, let me just turn off the joints. All right, so this is perfectly aligned with the camera, like right here, and that's kind of what we're seeing with her. All right, so just look at how natural it'll look when you have like a lower head. It's not so much that she's lowered her head, it's just a little bit of motion, or just showing that the neck can move, and like a slight tilt in the head also makes it feel a lot more natural than that. Do you see what I'm saying? It just looks like it's orthographic. Relaxed, thank you. Artless aesthetic, thank you. So that's what I'm going to do today. I'm just going to apply some of that perspective, just relax it a little bit, and not so much trying to change the features, just trying to show she has a neck and it's not always tensed. And you'll see when I do the before how much less stiff it looks and how much less unnatural it looks, almost like an android. So a front view perspective, if you don't apply perspective on it, a front view angle, if you don't show a little bit of downward perspective, it'll look like an android. So before, do you see what I'm saying? She's just looking forward, and it makes your portfolio super boring because there's just no motion in the head at all. And then not to mention, you've kind of avoided the beauty. It almost seems deliberate. It almost seems like you're not sure how to paint a female. Again, I'm not sure if this is someone who's not quite female or male. I don't worry too much about that, trying to infer those storylines in Critique Hour. I just teach either or, and you guys could take over androgyny. But she does look more feminine in the after because we tilted the head down. So you seem like you're going for full feminine because of the corset and all of that. And then we've got the shoulders, which are also extremely symmetrical. It's unnerving. It's too symmetrical. It looks eerie. So what I'm going to do is raise one shoulder up and one shoulder down. She'll look a little bit more heroic, a little bit more Hellenic lean type of stance while she's kind of doing her steampunk thing. And then the corset itself also feels like it's in this orthographic view, it feels flattened. It doesn't feel like it's wrapped around a person's torso. It almost feels like it's been ironed out. That's due to both the lack of core shadow around the chest area, as well as the fact that it's widened. So before, after. A corset restricts the waistline. If it's not smaller, then you're just wearing a corset that hasn't been wrapped in the back, that hasn't been closed up in the back. Do you understand what I mean? So before, after, before, after. So look at the huge difference. Even though I didn't paint, all I did was liquefy. Look at the huge difference that we get in the skill level visible. Do you think maybe painted half and flipped it? Possibly. Yes, that's a good thought, because when someone paints something, half paints it and flips it, it does have that really weird stiff look to it. But yeah, before, after. Do you see the skill difference in the artist? There's perspective even in front view, right? That back. Even in front view, there's perspective. Okay. And then I'm going to just slim out the neck a little bit, just for that feminine neckline. But she is still a lot bigger than the average woman. She looks like an Olympian. She looks like a stronger female character. Definitely a powerful, the powerful side of the trope spectrum, the bulkier side, not the feminine, small, delicate, Princess Ariel type of body type. All right, and then the hair also feels pretty flattened out because the cylinder is equal thickness. The sausage is the same side on all sides. So I'm just gonna thin out the sausage in the back. We're just applying that perspective there. See that? Just a little bit of perspective on the curls. Probably something you didn't even think you had to have, and I'm just using the pinch tool. And it just looks really weird when every single hair curl thing is the same exact size. Vary them a little bit. Hair isn't that perfect. And that kind of, she seems like she's on the poorer side. When you have perfectly symmetrical hair, big, huge updo, that's like for royalty, for like a court concubine, for a princess type character. Think about like those Asian princesses, the Chinese, like the way the women dressed in those old dynasties with their perfectly oiled and sculpted hair. It just doesn't feel natural. It feels weird. It feels otherworldly and expensive. And it doesn't look like something a girl in a bar wench costume would be wearing on her head. So just make them a little less symmetrical, a little bit more on the like the, oops. Just waiting for Photoshop. All right. So let's take a look at the full before and after. Small little changes, annoyingly small. But they've made such a huge difference, almost like a completely different artist painted this. Doesn't that annoy you? Doesn't that like really piss you off? Yeah, the tubes on her neck look like hair. I agree. And these small changes they just need a lesson or two. They don't need a change in lifestyle or a completely different outlook on life. They just need a little bit of thought. That's it. Like, am I really applying the perspective I could be applying to this piece? I'm trying to add some highlight to the tube, wherever the tube looks at the light, so the upward facing side of the tube, and right after that edge is a little blocking brush eraser. And I think the reason the tubes look like hair is because, I'm just using dodge tool, is because they're not really doing any highlighting of any kind. The texture is pretty much behaving like hair, which is pretty dull. So this is a pretty average front view that a lot of you use. It's not something, you know, significant or different. It's a very basic front view. And I'm adding a little bit of shine here, but that it won't help. Another thing that could be making this tube look like hair would be, or a little too close, is that it's just not gray enough. I would make it a bit more gray, just so it's not brown. I know you're going for steampunk, but just so that you have less of that. And now it's not just about perspective. Now we're going to change the light source. So we're just going to let a couple of shadows fall. All right, but I want you to take a look at the bigger picture here when I'm casting the shadow. Don't let cast shadows last this long. This is an ominous cast shadow used to introduce a villain or introduce a character that's mysterious, character that's powerful, character that is up until this point has been a mystery to the viewer, not something accessible. We hide faces and we haven't introduced the character fully yet, so what I want to do is just at the halfway mark. But one thing I want to show you is really quickly, I'm just going to screenshot this. You can screenshot with the screenshot tool, but I just want to grab a section instead of having to crop it. So what I'm going to do is just show you really quickly what happens when we actually do that. Take a look at the color picker. Take a look at the top half of the head. And like, let's say a mid-ground area. Did you notice there was this big a jump? Look at that color picker marker and look at this one. That's a huge jump. And that is a sign that we're dealing with a sphere. So it goes back to being bright where there's a chin. But take a look at that difference, right? And then we're going to look at yours and we're going to notice forehead is dark. And the chin is brighter? What's going on here? Everything seems like it's the same size. It's the same, I mean, the top of the forehead. I can't get any higher than this. My voice can't get any higher than this. I can't get any more appalled. All right, you've done the complete opposite, but why is that a problem? Because the nose is casting a shadow down. So you don't know your core shadows. But you're the type of artist that's sneaky. You have skill, you just don't have fundamental knowledge because you've made a couple of fundamental mistakes so far. Big ones. Core shadow, that's a huge one. So you'll get away with it. You'll get away with it for a while in your life, not knowing these fundamentals. And there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing, you know, it's not something that is you're intentionally doing. It's not like you hate fundamentals. It's not like that. It's just about the fact that you are tricking yourself into thinking you don't need the fundamentals right now. All right? So it's not that you're trying to do this on purpose. You've never really sat down maybe and studied these areas of the face, these planes of the face, the blocking, the geometry, all of that. And so I've added one big shadow on the, if you look at the face from the side, what do you see? You see that there's an indentation around the brow bone. You missed that. Then you also have the greater, awesome, super powered core shadow that makes everything amazingly realistic all of a sudden. You missed that one. Look at the cast shadow off the neck. Again, you've tricked us and yourself into believing you have a lot of fundamental skill. But upon closer inspection, you see that you actually don't have core shadows. You had a lack of perspective. You maybe flipped the canvas to get the other side of the... a lot of people do that. Nothing's wrong with that. You can save a lot of time, especially if you do commissions, to flip the canvas. So I'm not going to shortcut shame, but also it, again, is a way to trick everybody, including yourself, into thinking you've got all the skill you need and you attained it by this far using fundamentals and having a respect for them. All right, so this is my job, is to tell you actually don't. So look at the core shadow on the lower half of the face. And I erase some off the chin. I'm going to erase some off the upper half of the lower lip. That's the cylinder of the lip. It needs a little bit of relief there. Okay, another example that you're a little trickster is the value sharing. You're actually adding shadow on the side of the nose in a light situation where shadow has no business being on the side of the nose. This piece, for a lot of the viewers, they were wondering what's wrong with this one, what she got to fix with this one. And now that you see these, you're like, oh my God, these were a lot of mistakes. Why is this possible? How many am I making that I don't know about? And that's what I'm saying. Fundamentals will help the professionals. They help the rich and the poor, okay? And they're always there for you. So make sure that you're actually studying them. You understand them. You're not making these little noob mistakes that your peers may not see, but a potential employer that's looking at your portfolio will catch right away. They'll say this all their stuff looks awkward. Their lighting looks flat. Nothing looks really organic and reachable, and nothing about it is really something we would need here in this studio. God, nobody wants to hear that. Right? So get those fundamentals out of the way. What are they? It's just form studies. It's just geometry, like cylinders. Learn what cylinders do so you see them everywhere. Make sure that you understand what a cube and a prism does in light sources. Think about the perspective of everything. Find a good reference. Nobody wants to hear this term, but that's what I call them. Noob mistakes. They are noob mistakes. You have almost no lower. It's almost like you used a model and painted over it. No lower eyelid shadow at all. Why? Why does she have no lower eyelids? Why does she have no space under? I mean, some people don't, but your drawing should. You want to show off your anatomy knowledge. You're not here restricted by the randomness of nature and the big middle finger it throws at artists. Where we can control the anatomy here invisible in this world. The eyes are not crossed and looking in any direction. A big reason why it looked like an android is that the eyes just weren't crossing and looking at anything. They were just derpy. They were just zoned out as if she wasn't online. You know what I'm saying? Like she was offline waiting to be, I don't know, turned on. I'm trying not to say that, but I did, so whatever. So I'm crossing the eyes inward I put the Twitch on mature audiences, so don't even start with me, Twitch mods. All right, so I'm crossing the eyes. I want them to look like she's looking at the viewer. Best way to look, right at the viewer. Just what we would look at if we had met her in real life. So just add that effect. Another example of why your fundamental knowledge is lacking and it doesn't make much sense. Oh no, the T word. What's the T word? I was trying not to say. Oh no, I think I overloaded Photoshop. It's okay. I've been using it all day, so I think the cache or something, I don't know what it is like backed up. Another example of a new mistake that you did. Again, you are creating the illusion that you're good at what you do, and you are, but you need a little bit more of a push with respect to the fundamentals. You can only get so far without them. That's the point of the critique. And you're missing major anatomy markers on the inside. The eyes look like they're, I don't know, like they look like little pumpkin seeds. That makes no sense. We need these little areas to show where the edge of the eyeball is under all this anatomy, under all this flesh. Look at that. Then the lower eyelids have even more to them. They have a point where they end. They have a high point in the middle, a zenith. All right, the lashes, there's none. She forgot to put on her lashes when she was putting on her human skin. All right, no lashes almost. I borrowed the hair color and I added it on top. Jeez Louise. All right, and that's gonna cast a shadow off the lashes over the white of the eyes. So the white of the eyes don't look like blank planes, like reflect, as if they're reflecting light all on their own. And you know what? I know I put you on the spot today and really talk shit about you today, but you need to remember, even professionals who are in major studios don't know their fundamentals. They don't know their basic shapes. They don't know a lot because they used all their, you know, maybe they started off as 3D artists, so they weren't really worried about learning all that stuff because they were used to a computer generating all that stuff and they just had to paint over it or something around those lines. So a lot of people don't know them. Stuff that you would just be like, what the heck, why don't you know this? And I think in every field, even in like professional fields, interns sometimes know more because education changed. And art education online changed because of yours truly. So more people know about fundamentals now than ever before. But you know, it's not just me. But it's important to know that, you know, you're not getting attacked or anything like that. You're just being told there's a better way. All right, so you need a core shadow on the white of the eye. And you need a cast shadow off the black of the eye, the lash line. That's going to make the eyes look super warm, super human, very friendly. Maybe you weren't done painting, because why would you forget to add the speculars of the eye? I'm sure you weren't done. You had to, it has, like, I refuse to believe that you didn't notice it looked a little bit androidy. I'm pretty sure you noticed. But let's take a look at what you did right, though. Look at those eye sockets, man. Those are banging. Those are good eye sockets. Those, and I will say it. No, I won't. I'm not going to say it. Those eyebrows, too, they look great. I bet you guys know what I was going to say. Me as a 3D artist got hit in the heart. I'm sorry. Eyebrows on fleek. No! I was trying not to say it. But those eye sockets are for sure. So you did a good job with those. All right, I still want her to look like she's looking up. And the way to do that is to make it so that the eyes are above the eye corner line. And you do that by having less overall upper eyelid space. So this motion is opening the eyes up along the high point of the arc of the lash line, as well as raising the general pupil space, more the majority of it, above the inner and outer corners. And that's how you make a character look forward. Look at the difference. When you close your eyes or look down, we just see more of your upper eyelid, right? Makes sense. So we're keeping her this really strong looking character. We're keeping her body type, and her hairstyle does look like a a Helga or something, you know what I'm saying? Like she looks like she's tough, but also I would change the expression though if I do want to go for tough. Like take a look at the difference. Expression is a whole other class. I'm just here trying to make her look a little bit more human. But if you really want her to look tough, you just got to lower the eyebrows a little bit. It's a small little thing we've carried over from the male read. In a male face, we want to just lower the eyebrows a little bit to make her look a little bit more tough. It's not that we are making her angry. We're just making her look stern and focused. To make her look inquisitive, I'm going to raise the eyebrows up a little bit on one side to make her look like a thinker, or that maybe she's ruminating. And maybe a little bit sarcastic too. Right? And it kind of adds to that lip thing she's doing. And speaking of that, don't let those corners travel for too long. There's no reason for them to hover so far away from the lip. You can just get them nice and tucked in close to the lip, just like that. All right, they don't need to be far away. They don't need to have a distance relationship with the mouth. And my jokes suck today, dude. So see, before they were just a little bit long, and after, maybe this one is over moved a little. They're a little bit closer to the edge of the mouth. All right. Oh, oops. All right, so I'm lowering that down. And then I don't want her upper lip to look white all around. I don't want it to look like a milk mustache. So I'm adding some shadow. Oops. I'm adding some shadow just above the halfway point like that. That gets blended out. I'm using my smudge brush, which is also on sale, by the way. All my brushes are on sale as well. So if you want to use the exact brushes I used today, you may. And then I'm just sharpening the nose shadow. And you overshadowed it. It means that you really don't know your fundamentals and basic shapes. You need to do geometric form studies. If you were my student in private tutoring, I'd make you do like 50 form studies over the holidays. So just do that. Because you don't understand yet that a cast shadow that descends on a surface that is a reflector cannot be dark, especially not as dark as the cavity it's adjacent to. These are cardinal rules you're breaking, and I know it sounds like it's a lot of rules to learn over the holidays, but a lot of it is stuff you pick up on your own. The human brain does a lot for you just by showing up to the study. You are setting yourself up for learning a lot of stuff, noticing things. We're observant creatures. We can pick stuff up pretty easily. You don't have to be given a list of every possible combination of every possible fundamental before you know them. A lot of them you will learn on in the field. All right, and then the Cupid's bow didn't really feel natural, so I'm just adding a little bit less of an extreme dip, but I still want it to look like her, so I'm going to just keep it curled and pretty and full of attitude. And I'm going to add a little bit more here. I am giving a lot of homework, so if you celebrate the holidays, I'm not going to give my students that much, but if you do want a bigger package of homework, I will give you one. And then the nose feels a little bit small, but that's okay. Sometimes noses do have a little bit of a shadow at the starting point. It's almost like they indent inward. You can add one of those if you'd like. Her nose feels a little bit low and a little bit small. So before, after, so I just moved it up, but we still have a septum that's generally lower now than the nostrils, and the nose is aligned with the edge of the ears. Oh, and I have to fix this now. I didn't fix that. tons of stuff, tons of changes. But it's not something that you can't, again, pick up in a couple months and a little study burst of form studies and all of that. Another really cool trick, and take it from me, it really does work every time to make a face look less like an android, is don't pile on that concealer on a lower eye. Add a little shadow under the eye. It makes it feel like there's bone structure and the eye socket is not quite done. It doesn't tire the eyes out. It just adds that realism. Another little trick, especially for more masculine females, not because we want them to have a mustache, but because we show that they don't really wax their upper lip. Do you know what I'm saying? But also because every female does have a shadow in that area. We add a little bit of a shadow, barely noticeable to the upper lip, barely noticeable. And then I just smudge out a little bit of it. It's overrated to add shadow on the sides, on the middle of the lip, and you guys just don't add enough shadow on the edges of the lip where you actually do have an indentation. So I'm gonna soften the middle of the lips and darken the outsides of the lips. I'm gonna try to do this fast because she is wearing some kind of lipstick. So with lipstick, the upper and lower cylinder shadows are canceled out. They just look darker. I actually like that lipstick color. What should we call this lipstick shade if it was a MAC matte lipstick? Noob Rage Rouge is the color of this lipstick here. Oh, that's hilarious. Watch them steal my idea though. Alright, and then I'm going to use some of that Noob Rage Rouge on the cheekbones. Actually on normal, because cheeks have a blood traffic to them that drops the value. So we can actually sneak in a darker red with low opacity. Gotta be reasonable. And also we get tanned around the cheeks a lot easier. And then I'm gonna borrow some of that shadow and push the lower. I'm using radial shading, which is a technique that where you shrink your brush as you approach the edge and then delete under the edge so that you have a nice taper on a new layer. You don't have to do too much reconstruction about what's already established there. You see that? Now the neck looks like it's moving inward. It's really nice effect. And then the eyebrows feel a little bit unnatural, so sometimes I just get my smudge brush and I just let it hover on low strength over the eyebrows. They look a little bit more messy. They don't look natural when they're perfectly shaped like that. And I'm at 3%, and I'm just when it's 3%, you can kind of go crazy and get away with a lot. And then finally, I'm gonna, with a hard round brush, just stipple and click in the specular highlight of the eye. You could have an asymmetrical smile. Again, we're doing everything we can to add attitude and personality, but and move away from that android look, but with a lot of subtlety. Another thing you could do to make her even more kind of smart ass and sarcastic is squint her eyes slightly. Not one eye, you can squint one eye, but if it's not so much that we're making her evil, we're just adding that flirtatious but strong female. It's just a little squint. You see that? Oh, it's lovely. I love it. It's small, but it's there, I promise you. And then from a distance, I'm just going to borrow like a reddish brown, and I'm going to let my brush with this size hover over the eye area. It should on average be just a lot darker, especially because of the lash lines, upper and lower, which you missed the lower. And then the fact that just the general eye socket should be more of a depression everywhere. It's just like an insurance brush stroke to make sure we've treated the upper and lower eyelashes this way. And all right, so I don't want to show the before, but that's okay. So this is the before at this stage right now. So before, after. A lot more human, a lot more believable. Before, after. But really, I wanted the upper eyelids to stay bright. I thought I had a layer underneath, but I had to just swim with it. You guys got a quick little sample, but no more, okay? Addicts, no more until the end. Alrighty, and then adding a little bit more highlight, but only on the highest point of the lashes, of the eyelids. No more around anywhere else. It's just enough to make the eyelids a little bit more interesting and shiny, to change their hydration level, to change their shininess. All right, so the tip of the nose. Isn't the shadow under the eyebrows too dark and muddy? It's a socket. It looks right to me. And I'm adding a little bit of a shine on either side of the nose. Definitely adding shine on the nose bridge where we get a lot of oil. I'm using Dodge Tool, but I'm using Dodge Tool very cautiously, and I'm still following it with a sponge tool to desaturate all those areas that might have added that red, icky Dodge Tool look to. All right, so there's a lot more we could do, but I'm going to finish off with that forehead light. So I'm just letting the forehead get light on the top part, letting a little bit of shadow hang off the hairline. And maybe a little indentation on the forehead that we sometimes have. We have these little bumps and stuff along the forehead. All right, so ready for the before and after? I mean, you've already seen it, but you ready for the full before and after? All right, so a little bit of highlight on the brow bone. And sometimes you could, if you wanted to, lower the opacity of the brush and just show off some cheekbones. It won't hurt, especially on a strong female character. This is how Hollywood casts people. They literally just cast people based off their cheekbones and their, you know, how pretty they are, and whether or not they're like a cutesy tomboyish girl or the femme fatale or the seductress or the wise old lady or this or that. They use their features to cast them, so why not you use these same feature adjustments to cast your characters? Another thing is the this here. Am I live? I think it dropped. No. Another thing is the hairline here is, it just needs a bit of smudging because it doesn't look natural. I think OBS dropped a little bit. Oh, I'm live? Okay. All right. So when you're smudging a hairline, I mean, you can just add that little parting back. When you're smudging a hairline, when you're drawing a hairline, you want to smudge it. And then one more thing about the hair. It seems like she's used a lot of oil or something on the hair. So why not just add a bit more shine? It won't hurt anyone. It'll actually make the hair look less dull and more hair-like. But also, because we use Dodge Tool and because of the basic principles of what hair does, we desaturate along the line of the highlight, meaning that the highlight itself is grayish or whitish, but we saturate on either side for that natural saturation. So the hair highlight isn't actually a really super bright color or a highly saturated color. It's only along the midtone. Before, after. Small changes, but the result is huge. But the changes, but they were so small. The difference is night and day. But yes, but the changes themselves, the adjustments, the actual adjustments are so tiny. And they're not something that is impossible to replicate. All right, so before, after. Perspective change, texture changes here in the tube and in the hair. Tons of work in the portrait, cast shadows, making the basically what I did, if I were to show you, is I added shadows based off these grid lines. So take a look, pay attention. This is all concave. This is all convex. Oh, I don't know what the fuck that was. That needs to be straight. Okay, and that is all convex, so sticks out. This is all just way sticky outy, like all the way out. And I don't know why I'm doing that. Damn it. All right, and then this all just slides back in. All right, so that's why I say please do your trace over diagrams, because they reveal everything about the head to you. All right. I didn't get a notification for the first Twitch stream, but I got like 4 today. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, I'm so happy. People are actually getting notifications, man. I should have been doing Twitch a long time ago. All right, so before, after. So don't forget perspective on a head. It's amazing. And if you can't see it, let's say you can't see the difference between this. Oh, no, just don't be lazy. You can't see the difference between this and this. Draw some lines, because there are real differences. Basically, look at the ears compared to the eyes. Look, I'm just going to keep moving it. Suddenly the ears are above the eyes. Now the ears are below the eyes. Look at the nose and the end of the ears. The mouth. How much of the lower little pudge of chin fat here we see? We don't see it anymore. These are really obvious once you start creating some horizontal lines. And again, that's the kind of stuff I assign students. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be doing this as well. Make sure that you are studying actively, actually going in there like a little scientist looking for information. Other things I would change, like the shadow of the corset seems a bit flat. I would at least try to throw in a general shadow under the breast and shadows on the side. So again, just to show you how flat it looked. So before, after. Do you see how now it looks a little bit more alive? And then dodge tool on midtones, and then trying to show, it is leather, but I'm trying to show how the top half of everything on this dress is catching light. Before, after, before, after. It might be a little bit too dark in the middle since it flattens out, sort of. But at this point, I'm just being picky. And that's it. If you are going to present it like this, it's obviously not it. Then you have to darken. I'm using the mouse. That's how you know I'm just like done. You have to darken the arms along the edges, because you don't want any high elevation of some kind. Here, you know what? I'll just do my little tricksies. You don't want any thing to drag the eyes of the viewer away from the focus of up here. So darkening the arms helps us look back up there. But see how when they're bright, our eyes are like, woo, they just go straight down there. Okay? If you have to present it like this. I don't know how and why. Maybe it's like a character lineup, a character selection page in a game, a mobile game or something. I don't know how you would use all this. But it seems like something like that is where you would have a white background. And then burn on midtones. Again, just because the neck of that neck brace, which I don't understand as a design, what is it really, what is it doing, needs a little bit more of a shadow. Not too much, just enough. Before, after. Small changes, big difference. Okie dokie. And then finally for this one, the issue with this one is that we're seeing more of that far side. I don't know if you used a reference or not, but when it comes to 3/4 view, don't make it look like the far side. Lift it up. There's absolutely no reason to force the eye, to force the far side to be visible just because you don't have the other side, and the face might not look pretty because you're not used to 3/4 view and you're used to front view. So, oh no, I can't paint the other side of the face, so I'm losing 50% of my scale beauty thing. No, it doesn't work like that. When perspective happens, it means something is disappearing along the horizon line of the face. So show the openings of the nostrils, show what's standing in front of what and hiding what. And all of these were outside of their perspective, every last one of them. Every feature was not following the perspective rules. This nose, I'm gonna have to edit that with transform, but just take a look at before. See how it got just possessed and just raised right out of its allotted position in the stacking of this perspective. All right, so before, I'm not sure what anyone's asking. Anyway, so who's asking the question? It's kind of like a prescription. Yeah. Anyway, so before, after, and then it's not just that, it's the bone structure of the nose as well. So we're gonna just grab that whole nose here. And I'm just gonna use these transform tools to just give the nose, the bridge, some dignity. Just show it some respect. It's a nose bridge. It sticks out. It catches smells for us. It helps us smell our food. I don't know why we need snouts. I still don't understand what a nose is. To this day, it just looks so weird. But the point is that it sticks out and we can't see stuff behind it. I'm just going to... Actually, I like its position. It's just the... Maybe I should move it down just a little bit. Alrighty, and then finally, this eye here also seemed a little bit collapsed. So filter, liquefy, and the whole eye itself, like the eyebrow and the eye, seem to be sliding off the face like pepperoni off a pizza. Alrighty, so see, before I just slid like I tried to make the sound effect, didn't work. So I'm going to clean it up like that. And then the far eyebrow should respect its perspective. I should care about that sound. So it means the far eyebrow should be back there, sort of. I'm just literally looking at the navigator doing this. Oops. So perspective on heads is difficult. It really is. But you can do a lot. You can get a lot of mileage without it being paintings every time. If it's a painting every time, I'm just going to have a quick expression because she's putting on her ears. So sometimes unconsciously we kind of move our eyebrows as if to get them out of the way, even though they're not in the way. It's like a weird little human thing we do. But yeah, you don't have to paint a whole freaking portrait just to get some perspective mileage. You can just sketch a bunch of heads in perspective. That's also a ton of mileage. And sketches have this awesome thing where we can still see the construction line. So it's better for your brain to know where those are and work on them. And in a second, you'll see the before and after, and you'll be able to appreciate the changes, because right now you've gotten accustomed to the new perspective. All right, I still feel like that far side of the cheek is too visible. I feel like it could drop one level lower. lines. I'm just adjusting the chin and making that jawline feel a little bit more slender and feminine. And just moving the brow bone back in symmetry. Okay, and then I'm just gonna correct that line here. It's a bit distracting. Okay, who wants to see the before and after? Before, after, before. So what were you doing? Let's draw some lines. What the heck were you doing? Okay, so you had the head, the top of the head, and the chin on this line, but the corners of the eyes were on these lines. The general eyebrow, like the average of the eyebrow, was on these lines. The nose was on this line. The mouth was like over here. None of your lines made sense. And in the after, we're matching all of them. In the after, everything is on the same kind of line setup. Everything is setting on the same parallel line. Arc to arc. All right. Oops, shit, different layer. Doesn't matter, you can see it. So before, after. That's why it felt like the eye was sliding off like pepperoni, because it was on a completely different perspective line. See that? It was just sliding off. Drawing front view, but weirdly skewed to perspective. What do you mean? The before looks like two different perspectives mushed together. Yes, yes it does. So that's it for today. Thank you everyone for joining. Any questions at all, feel free to ask. So if you want to join, go to istebrak.com and click on the Reddit icon here to join. It'll take you to the subreddit. That's where you submit your work. That's where I got the work today to look at for today's critique hour. This is the piece I looked at the start. Please follow me on Twitch if you want to get alerts the next time I'm live. I believe Twitch is a little bit more active, a lot more active. I'm told that everyone got their notification today, so if you'd like to join me on Twitch, please do. You'll get notifications every time I stream. It's not always class. Sometimes I'm just chilling and talking to you guys and sharing my philosophies on life and bathwater. And sometimes I'm doing classes like this, and it's a lot of educational material. And that's it. Thank you everyone for watching. If you want to support, please go to Patreon to join as a $1 patron. I'm trying to get everyone on board for just $1 a month. I know it's like close to nothing, but it's, if everybody joins, it's a lot of something. So if you could, please join me on Patreon for the $1 a month. If you're interested in getting monthly assignments, critiques, rewards like my brushes, full time-lapse videos of all my personal work, full PSDs, join as an apprentice, you'll get all of that. I'll be showcasing my apprentice homework from this year, from January to now soon. The video will be up. If you guys want to get in for your New Year's resolutions and my apprenticeship, everyone who started last year now has 12 amazing portfolio pieces to show off. So it's basically like a great way to have due dates and have all of that, and work with a leader of some kind and end up with really great portfolio pieces. If you ever feel like you're not really ready for full private tutoring, you are studying and doing self-teaching, but you just need a little bit of direction, apprenticeship is great for that. It's a really low pressure environment, but high results. And I'll let you guys go. Thank you everyone for coming. I hope this whole Twitch venture is successful. I'm really excited about everyone who got their notifications today. I'm really happy about that. And I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Next Thursday is the community challenge due date, so we'll be able to see everyone's beautiful little drawings of their elementals. I might do class on Tuesday, I might not. But please make sure you guys submit your submissions beforehand so I can pick a winner, because the winner is going to join me in Critique Hour call on the 16th before we go on break for Christmas. And I will go on break after the 17th, and we'll be back the week of the 3rd of January. Thank you, everyone. Announcements are over, I promise. Thank you, everyone. I'll see you guys next time. Bye.